Hey everyone, my name is Lily. I am a scientist, an engineer, and a tarot reader. Remember that last video where I did a tarot reading before I watched a movie to see if I could figure out what the movie was about and kind of the character development of the main character? Well, today I have the results. I have watched the movie, I have analyzed my predictions, and now we're going to sit down and just see how well I did.
King has no friends, only followers and foe.
So, people close to the main character are going to die. And we clearly see that in the beginning of the movie. His brother and his father die, and then his countrymen die in war, and then at the end of the movie his best friend and confidant dies as well. So that reading turned out to be pretty accurate. I also said that he was going to struggle with choices, regret, and the consequences of his actions, and you really see that actually throughout the movie.
Choose your steps wisely, dear brother. They have their own kingdoms behind their eyes.
That is a constant theme. In almost every scene of this character, he's trying to make decisions.
Already I can feel the weight of this crown I wear.
And you can see the emotional toll that this is taking on the character. He struggles with his decision to go to war.
War is bloody and soulless.
France is taunting us.
They were my father's enemies, not mine.
This prediction that the Five of Cups was going to be a central theme to the character really captured accurately the internal conflict that he faced throughout the entire movie. Now, the next prediction that I made was that there was going to be a battle between good versus evil, but that I suspected that at the end of the movie it wasn't going to be as clear-cut. I said that the main character might realize that he wasn't entirely justified in his actions to go to war, or that he felt like he himself made bad decisions or had been led astray. And at the end of the movie, that is kind of like the plot twist that's revealed to him, was that he had been fighting the French army, thinking that they were the enemy, thinking that they were the bad guys. But then at the end of the movie, it is revealed that it's not quite as black and white as that. So that prediction, I think, was fairly accurate.
This is so peace.
The next prediction I made was the Chariot card. It symbolized, how others perceive the king, that they were going to perceive him as very determined, very hands-on. I said that he was going to pick up his sword in battle and get his hands dirty. And we clearly see that. We see that this king gets into several fights. He's not afraid of the battlefield, and he displays courage and leadership throughout the movie. Now, there were several cards that talked about the transformation of the character, the internal transformation, and I said that who he was going to be at the beginning of the movie was going to be the complete opposite of who he is at the end of the movie. And this was a very, very solid prediction in the tarot cards. I got the Tower for his internal psyche, and that represents kind of upheaval, starting over, foundations. We can see in the beginning of the movie, he is an alcoholic, he's a philanderer, he's very lazy, he just wants to party with his friends.
As prince, I spent my days drinking, clowning.
And at the end of the movie, he is completely different. He's not even the same person.
An altogether different king.
He is now transformed into a wise king, a wise monarch. So that element of the reading was very spot on. His character arc, I think the cards actually did a better job of explaining what was going on internally with this character than I can. So that part of the reading was very strong. Now, one of the cards that I got when I asked the question, what is this character's influence? And I got the world, and I laughed because, of course, as a king, you're going to influence the world around you. And that kind of was an easy, an easy interpretation, but it came true, right? In the movie, we see the king, as he goes to battle, he doesn't just affect his world, but he affects France as well, and just the entire medieval world that he's in. He, because of the Battle of Agincourt that he wins, he completely changes the course of history. So that card was accurate. So I'm pretty impressed by this reading so far. And then the reverse lovers card, right? I pulled that card and I predicted that he was going to be betrayed by somebody close to him. That, someone in his entourage or an advisor was going to have a lack of loyalty and was going to betray him. I also predicted that the reasoning behind that betrayal was going to be a misalignment of values. And I wasn't quite sure what that was, but as I was watching the movie, it was crystal clear. Okay, this it was wild. So just a little spoiler, basically he had a trusted advisor who was pulling, strings behind the scenes to instigate war between England and France. And it wasn't until the end of the movie that the king realizes that he had been manipulated and misled this entire time, and that he had been betrayed by someone that he thought he could take advice from. And when he asks his advisor, why did you betray me? Why did you instigate this war? His advisor says, well, it was because of money, because now we get to have more land and I will be more wealthy. And that was the misalignment of values, because the king, his values are towards his countrymen. He cares about protecting the lives of those he cares about. And this advisor, the one who betrayed him, he does not care about losing lives. He cares about getting rich and greed. So that card was spot on. Another prediction that I made was, I thought that at some point in the movie, the king was going to be in a very low place, that he was going to be facing, failure or some kind of imminent challenge, and that he was going to have to rely on wisdom and hope in order to make it through. And at the very pivotal moment of the movie, at the Battle of Agincourt, they realize that they're outnumbered, that the French have a lot more soldiers than they do, and all his advisors say, let's surrender. And his best friend tells him, don't give up hope, don't forget your purpose. And it's a very emotional scene where the king has to decide to not give up hope. And that was represented by the star card in the tarot reading. So that actually was fairly accurate too. Another prediction that I made that was very accurate, that was in alignment with the other prediction that he was not going to be the same character in the beginning of the movie as the end of the movie, was that not only was he going to grow and mature, but his heart and his head were going to expand as well. That the king's transformation was going to be elemental, and that his commitment to truth and honesty and wisdom were going to be apparent at the end of the movie. That card was represented by the High Priestess. So that really came true, because at the end of the movie, the king is faced with, the knowledge that he had been manipulated, that he had been betrayed, that he had basically his friends and his countrymen had kind of died in vain in a war that was unnecessary. And at that moment, when his bride is scolding him and she's testing him, he could react with petulance and anger, but he chooses not to. He chooses to react instead with wisdom and strength.
I ask nothing of you, only that you will always speak to me clear and true. Always.
Further commits, his reign to truth when he asks his bride to always be honest with him. So that is actually a very powerful scene that really symbolizes, that captures the essence of the High Priestess card. So that's a quick summary of The King on Netflix. And, as I was watching the movie and reviewing my tarot reading, I was really, really taken aback by the level of accuracy within the tarot reading. And it's important to note that this is just one data set. This is just one experiment. And it just happened to be, in my opinion, 100%. But as we repeat this and we collect more data, we'll be able to kind of refine and enhance this experiment and collect more evidence to see if this is an effective way of gaining insight and knowledge. The accuracy of tarot readings is something that I've really struggled with as a scientist and an engineer, because logically it doesn't make sense to me, right? Logically, I can't really understand how this works. And I'm going to make another video kind of explaining some theories, some secular theories, and some spiritual theories about tarot and the human mind. And I largely refrain from jumping to conclusions, right? So that's kind of why I'm interested in collecting data and really analyzing and critiquing the veracity of a tarot reading. Can I genuinely predict the plot of a movie before I watch it, right? I think that is a good experiment. If you enjoyed this experiment and you want me to do more experiments, give this video a thumbs up. If you have a movie in mind that you would like me to analyze or do a tarot reading on, drop that in the comments below. And I'm really curious to see how the data looks as we repeat this experiment.